Good evening, everyone. My name is Asad Lalji. I'm the CEO of Avid Learning. Over the years, we at Avid Learning have presented a diverse slate of journalism-focused programs that spotlighted the varied dimensions of this craft, including conflict journalism, crowdsourced citizen journalism, to name a few. The tools of journalism have evolved. Once it was emails and editing suites, today it's dashboards, data models, AI-assisted workflows. Media powerhouses like Bloomberg, the New York Times, the Washington Post are increasingly experimenting with AI to redefine editorial operations and storytelling formats. As technology accelerates, one thing remains constant: the need to tell stories that matter. Since 2023, our tech-forward programming has explored generative AI's influence on different realms of arts. After decoding the visual arts, literature, design, cinema, music, law, and gaming, this transformative intersection of arts and AI has been one of the focuses areas of our policy steering conferences in partnership with FICCI and the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, promoting critical conversations across the creative and cultural sectors. In tonight's discussion, we turn our lens to news and media and ask, how is AI changing the way journalism is practiced and produced? This brings me to the task at hand. Avid Learning, in collaboration with the Press Club, presents The Future of News: Decoding Journalism in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. And what better setting could we have this talk in than the iconic Mumbai Press Club? A special thank you to the chairman, Rajesh Mascarenhas, and the Press Club team for having us here. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our expert speaker, co-founder and CEO of Narrative Research Labs, Sandeep Narwani. Look forward to a fascinating session. Over to you, Sandeep. Thank you all for being here and braving the rain.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out on a Friday evening. We're going to be doing a initial, I'll be speaking for an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll be doing a Q&A after that for 15 minutes post my presentation. So let's start with just having a brief discussion on where journalism cannot be replaced by machines, as in AI. That's the big threat. That's the narrative going around. There are a few elements of journalism that can never be replaced by machines. First and foremost is source building. Journalism has traditionally worked by field work and not by sitting in an office in a plush AC room. So building sources on the ground is something that a machine can never do. Let's look at some of the other factors. Just a sec. Let's look at some of the other factors on physical access. Ethics is something that's not compromisable in journalism. Well, as we've seen, perhaps some of you would be knowing, ChatGPT is easily moldable. It could hallucinate. Cultural nuance and context is again something that takes years to mature, while machines are just trained on certain data. While I throw all these buzzwords, we'll be talking about them more in detail as we go along, so don't be frightened. Today we'll be trying to tackle as many different applications, and we'll be talking at from a layman's perspective. Interview skills and legal accountability are also very important, cannot be ignored, can never be done by a machine. So I guess all of them sum up to one element, which is something that the folks at Apple are now trying to counter by creating an absolute AGI machine, is to build emotional intelligence within a computer, an emotional intelligence thought process within our mobile phones and our computers. So let's just start with a show of hands. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Okay, that's great. How many of you have used Claude? Heard of Claude? Okay, I'm glad. Perplexities, that's Indian founder. Okay, the IIT Madras alumni Arvind Srinivas started this. Now valued about $10 billion. What about Gemini? Okay, so a lot of takers for all four. I guess today we have a we have an audience which has already tried out all these tools, so I won't be spending any time on talking about these chatbots and how they predict words. But I'm going to probably start with an anecdote. There is a newspaper, sorry, there's a news website called Bihar Prabha. It's a Bihar-based news website, and they just used Gemini to produce articles because they didn't want to. They obviously they didn't want to spend on journalists. So Gemini went on and produced a lot of fictitious, articles, and one of them quoted an American professor called Emily Bender, and criticizing Meta. And Emily reached out to Bihar Prabha asking them about where did they get the quote from. And in return, he said that, he said maybe Meta gave it to Gemini. And as it so turns out, he had to remove the post. But there is a lot of journalism happening right now, which is mindlessly using these chatbots. These four chatbots that are just mentioned over here on screen have a certain utility, and there is an optimum way of using it. I'll just come to that. I know that a lot of you have already used them, so we won't be wasting a lot of time on it. But for the sake of discussion, we'll be covering some points. The first and foremost is prompt engineering. It's the way we feed in data. We give a prompt. It's like what we ask the computer to do. It's not always as easy as write me an article or get me information about something. The more detailed your prompt is, the better it is. You can also train ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek in particular to learn about your writing style. There are times when you will have to spend a lot of energy in giving your previous articles. So if you give ChatGPT like about 10 of your previously written articles and ask it to write a new one based on the previous 10 articles, it is more likely to replicate than by looking at one or two of your articles. So give it some bandwidth to learn, and I think give it time, and slowly and gradually, the more that you use your account, the machine starts /LLM, the large language model starts tuning itself. Hallucinations in chatbots. I want to briefly spend about 30 seconds on why hallucinations happen. ChatGPT is not a reasoning machine. It cannot reason or think like human beings do. It predicts the next logical word, in the sense the next logical sentence or the next logical paragraph. So it is, firstly, it is just based on the data that it is trained with. I'm going to also talk about how certain LLMs and certain chatbots train themselves transparently and some of them don't. For instance, OpenAI doesn't disclose where they get their data from. They're very closed about their sources, and they currently have a lot of cases against them, starting from ANI to music companies in India. Everyone sued them, but they still refuse to open up where they get their training data from. So think of an LLM like a toddler. When a toddler needs to be fed in with information about the surrounding, about the environment, about the world, and gradually, with time, the toddler starts to learn more about the environment, gets to know more about the people around himself or herself. So, the same way, a machine also needs training data, as we call it. Now, there is another LLM, like I mentioned, that started by Arvind Srinivas, called Perplexity. This is meant for journalists, in my opinion, because it gives you sources for everything. It doesn't hide anything, and of course, if it is giving you an answer that is based on a source, then it is not liable for that, because it is only going out and scanning what is out there on the internet. I feel that is still a better way of doing things than the Bihar Prabha website example that I just gave, where LLM can just hallucinate what it doesn't know and make up some stuff from from a well-known person just to make a answer. The other LLM that has started giving sources that may be very useful for journalists is Copilot, which is from Microsoft. This is not as good as Perplexity, mainly because Perplexity goes on and searches Reddit threads. It can even look at Instagram. It's got this multi-platform capability that none of the other LLMs have. obviously Grok also has that edge, but that's only for Twitter data. So the best way out is to use Perplexity, but bundle it with other kinds of LLMs as well, especially Grok if you're looking for social media related information, as in what are people talking online. Coming to the cases on OpenAI, it is particularly with this LLM, which is also the most popular one around. ChatGPT is the most used in the world, and also in India, it's the most popular one. But it refuses to share where it gets its data from. So when everybody was making their images on it recently, now OpenAI can also help you make songs. It can help you translate things in any voice that you want. So all of that data is of course not coming from vacuum, and it's not American data. It's all very local, contextualized Indian data, which has come from you and me. They have obviously stolen it from the internet, and they're using it to train their machines. Well, if they were to disclose that, they will have to pay a royalty for it. Hence, they refuse to do that and keep it secret. Let's see where that case goes. At this moment in time, the other parties who had sued them have decided to come together. But for the rest of the LLMs, there seems to be more transparency, and the road ahead seems to be very interesting. So this is my last slide on chatbots before we move on to some multimedia tools. ChatGPT came around in 22 November. We are in 25 right now. In the past 3 years, it has enhanced itself to an extent where it can do multiple Indian languages, at least a dozen of them. It gives source-based data, which earlier on it didn't do. And it also does light user models. What I mean by light user models is that it is capturing user information and making a mental model, but it's not a very detailed behavioral model. It can definitely predict if a user has a certain like or dislike based on their search behavior, but it is not going out of its way like maybe some of the social media networks do to create behavioral models. There are predictions that by 2026, all of these LLMs will be integrated with our devices. So our devices will be able to think by themselves, but the brain will be these LLMs. So the device will be falling back on these particular ChatGPTs or Perplexities or Geminis of the world. And of course, they will all be giving source verified information. At this moment in time, they are giving sources, but they're not able to do the fake news verification. Like I said, there is a lot of fake news on blogs, on certain news websites, even YouTube videos. And we are all vulnerable as journalists if you're going to be dependent just on these chatbots to go look for information. I'm going to quickly move on to our next segment, which is multimedia tools for journalists. This is a demo-based activity. Hopefully our bandwidth goes well. Our internet allows us to do it. I would request the audience to just give me a topic, and we'll try to create a video right now on the fly. And I'm not going to waste a lot of time on the aesthetics of the video, but it's to prove a point that you can all become YouTubers. You can all start your own, media outlet on YouTube. And some of these tools are free to start with. So if there are any ideas, just raise your hand. I'll ask ChatGPT to make a 100-word script, and we'll just try making a video. Yeah. Sure.
Make a video criticizing the use of AI. It would be
Okay.
very interesting.
Okay. We're going to call it a faceless video because we'll make a video with a face, of course, with the artificial face later on. But let's do this. Here we go. This is a platform called InVideo. I feel very proud to talk about Indian companies in the AI space. I just spoke about Perplexity a couple of times. This is InVideo, which is again started by Indians. They have an office in Mumbai, but I guess they're now also in New York and other places across the world. Homegrown companies. Let's try. Let's do okay. So these models work on a slightly different architecture. These are video models. Those are text-based models. A lot of these are, of course, they're fed in through text, but the inner workings are far more intense. Hence, they need much powerful machines. So while it's possible for you to have a localized version of ChatGPT on your computer, if you're worried about privacy and if you think that there are, there's data that you don't want to share outside, you can you can have a local version of DeepSeek. I know it's Chinese, but I would strongly recommend it based on its performance and its portability. You need a slightly strong machine to host it with a lot of VRAM, but you can have like it working on your desktop. Sometimes it also works on a laptop, not yet on the mobile phone. These video models are in fact maturing very quickly, and I guess they will also now be available locally in another year or so. At the moment, we can only host them remotely, so your data, unfortunately, will have to go outside, maybe to another country. Now this is a very rough cut video. I didn't even probably click on many things, but you can customize most of the items over here, from music to voiceover to stock footage. Now this particular video that's going to be produced will use freely available images, maybe Getty images, etc., to stitch this 1-minute clip together. But there is an option for you to build your own repository where you can put in your own stock footage. And I'll also talk about building your own stock footage if you don't have it, using AI. So once you put in your own videos and your own stock footage, AI will work only with that multimedia and will not use proprietary licensed IP from other sources. Second, same works with ChatGPT as well. There is an option to create something called custom GPT, where the information that it works with is given by you and nothing from outside. That also eliminates the probability of hallucination, because once you leave it to go and look for information, then it's surely going to get something random to make a case. These videos will actually resemble a lot from the brute school of media, where there's a lot of typography at the bottom, and there are stills. There's a montage of stills falling one after the other. Let's try playing.
This is why you need to visit Mumbai's Fort District. Gothic spires and Indian motifs collide on every corner. Here's how Victorian England got a stunning Mumbai makeover. Picture this: pointed arches and stained glass windows, just like the castles of medieval Europe, right in the heart of Mumbai. But take a closer look. Those grand railway stations and courthouses, they're built with local stone and decorated with peacocks, lotuses and sunbursts. Pure Indian style. This mashup is called Indo-Gothic architecture, and it's more than just a colonial leftover. It's Mumbai's way of remixing the past, turning British blueprints into something totally unique. Walk around Fort or Ballard Estate and you'll spot flying buttresses and carved domes, all buzzing with the city's energy. Every building tells a story of empires, of resistance, and of Mumbai's wild, ever-changing identity. So, next time you pass Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, look up. You'll see history, creativity, and Mumbai's true spirit etched in stone.
The point that I'm trying to make is that it can look up its own text, stitch a video, sequence it out, save at least the energy that goes in making the first draft. And later on, of course, it still needs a human in the loop. It still needs human intervention. We can't jump that yet. Coming back to our presentation, there's another software similar to this. It's called Pictory. If you get an opportunity, please try that as well. Now, creation of stock images and footage is also something that's very easy now. And I'm going to come to the legality of it towards the end of my talk, but if bandwidth permits, I would want to give you a quick... how many of you use Grok to create images? Has anyone tried it here? Any hands? Oh, okay, 4. And how many of you use Sora? Do people know what Sora? Okay, great. 1. Okay, what is any suggestions from the audience again? What kind of image would you like to create? Any suggestions? I mean, any ideas?
Spacecraft.
Spacecraft. Let me do a spacecraft view of Mumbai monsoon. Let me see if it goes. I think this image is pretty decent. Now, if you take this image and you feed it into Sora, you can build an entire video based on it. This is your initial image, and then you can like make the zoom in, zoom out, whatever. You can even move around this entire image. So I think that all of these free tools can help a big way in just creating free footage as well, which otherwise would be paid. Let's jump back to our presentation. There is another tool called captions.ai. We won't be doing it right now, but what you can do with it is that upload like a 1-hour video or maybe a half-an-hour video, and if you just want to take out like reels from it, like 1-minute reels, Instagram reels, and you can just give it to the software, upload it in. It transcribes the video, figures out which sentences are important, and then cuts out 1-minute reels, 5 reels, and gives it out. So again, these are very low-cost softwares, or perhaps free, which can be very useful for news purposes. For instance, a press conference that goes on for 40 minutes will only have something worth 5 minutes, and reels are the new way of discourse, so captions.ai comes in very handy. I've seen a lot of journalists in New Delhi using it. Okay, now I'm going to come to some fun things. I'm going to play a video for you, and
हाय, मैं हूँ सना और आज मैं आपको मिलाने वाली हूँ बॉलीवुड सुपरस्टार से। लेकिन पहले देखते हैं उनकी आने वाली फिल्म की झलकियाँ।
मैं कौन हूं, कौन नहीं, पता नहीं।
हाय, मैं हूं शाहरुख खान। आपके लिए लेकर आया हूं मेरी नई फिल्म जवान, और मेरे साथ है आज तक एआई।
थैंक यू शाहरुख। अच्छा बताइए, मुझ में और आप में कौन सी बात कॉमन है?
वैसे तो बहुत कुछ होगा, लेकिन आप बताइए ना।
चलिए मैं बता देती हूँ। शाहरुख खान और मुझ में ये बात कॉमन है कि हम दोनों हमेशा जवान रहेंगे।
बिल्कुल। वैसे एक और बात कॉमन है।
कौन सी?
आप सब ने दोनों का नाम तो सुना होगा।
थैंक यू शाहरुख। वैसे आपका चार्म देखकर तो मेरे एआई दिल में भी कुछ कुछ होता है। और हाँ, आई एम ऑल्सो 100% रेडी फॉर जवान विद द किंग खान। 7 सितंबर को आपके नजदीकी सिनेमा घरों में।
आर यू रेडी?
नमस्कार महाराष्ट्र, मी सामनाची एआय अँकर दिव्या एआय आपलं स्वागत करते. हिंदुस्थानची राजधानी नवी दिल्ली येथे मंगळवार 3 जून रोजी इंडिया आघाडीची बैठक पार पडली. या बैठकीसंदर्भात पत्रकार परिषदेतून माहिती देण्यात आली. शिवसेना उद्धव बाळासाहेब ठाकरे पक्षाचे खासदार संजय राऊत म्हणाले की 16 पक्षाच्या नेत्यांनी पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदींना पत्र दिले आहे. हे कुठलेही साधे पत्र नाही, हा जनतेचा आवाज आहे. आतापर्यंत देशात काय झालं यावर चर्चा करण्यासाठी विशेष अधिवेशन बोलवा, अशी मागणी या पत्रात करण्यात आली आहे. जर अमेरिकेचे राष्ट्राध्यक्ष ट्रम्प यांच्या सांगण्यावरून शस्त्रसंधी झाली असेल तर विरोधकांच्या मागणीवरून विशेष अधिवेशन का बोलावले जात नाही? आता त्यासाठी पण ट्रम्प यांच्याकडे जावं लागेल का, असा खोचक सवाल संजय राऊत यांनी विचारला आहे.
जैसे कि हमारे साथी डेरिक जी, दीपेंद्र हुड्डा जी, प्रोफेसर राम गोपाल यादव जी ने बात की है, और मैं कोई नई बात नहीं कहने जाऊंगा। ये प्रधानमंत्री को जो हमने लेटर लिखा है, इसके ऊपर 16 प्रमुख पार्टियों का हस्ताक्षर है। ये कोई सामान्य लेटर नहीं है। हम प्रमुख अपोजिशन पार्टी है, और अपोजिशन पार्टी देश की जनता की असली आवाज है। अगर हम चाहते हैं कि देश में जो हुआ है उसके लिए स्पेशल सेशन, एक विशेष सत्र बुलाकर चर्चा हुई, तो लोकतंत्र की प्रतिष्ठा रहेगी और देश की जनता को सच पता है.
मला सामनाचा व्हिडिओ कसा वाटला ते कमेंट करून कळवा. आमचे यूट्यूब चॅनल सबस्क्राईब करा आणि फेसबुक, ट्विटर आणि इंस्टाग्रामवर फॉलो करायला विसरू नका. धन्यवाद.
sorry, any visible difference in the two models that you just saw? Any reactions on that? Okay. Not too impressed. But if you look at it in 2 years, I think there are three pointers. The first one, which was talking to Shah Rukh Khan, that of course lacked emotion. I felt this one had a little more of that, some more facial cues, and also some natural head movement. But of course, the objective is to create an avatar which looks very lifelike. The second objective, I think, is to have an avatar have a conversation, and that can only happen when it's connected to an LLM. This was pretty much like a script-driven avatar, something like what we did right now. We just made a script. Asad gave me a prompt. I made a script, fed it into a machine. Now, what if, Asad gave me a topic and I fed it into a machine, and we would not have to feed in anything ever again. It would just keep talking about it, and it could perhaps go on and interview anyone in the world. And because that knowledge is already out there, it's just about building the pipelines for it. we're coming to the point where we'll be able to have great discussions and conversations. It's just that visually, I think, because of our hardware limitations, things are not as aesthetically powerful. But I still feel in the next couple of years, by about 2027, things should be looking pretty good. Looking back at just the past 24 months, we've achieved so much, as in the industry has achieved so much. Now, there's a software that if you want, I'll just walk you through it. It's called HeyGen. I would really want you all to go home and try. Today, it will take us about 10-15 minutes, so we won't try it right now, but I'll just spend about 1 minute to just walk you through what it looks like. You know, nothing more than that. So HeyGen can do a multiple set of things. It can also translate videos, but it's best known for its avatars. Now, some of the things that it can do is that you just give it one photograph and then it tries to build an avatar around it. But that is not as good as recording a clip. So usually if you record like a 5-minute clip and then after that you need to do another 1 minute to give your consent that you're giving your facial data to this particular application and with your own consent, then it will allow you to feed in another script just like we did right now on Gothic Mumbai, Gothic architecture. And the avatar says it exactly the way you would. So for most people, for most anchors, it is something that will save them a lot of time, perhaps if not going on for things which are very mundane, where there's a script to be given. And there are YouTubers like Varun Maya who are now very big on this, and they made a cottage industry out of it. But to give you more details, there is also of AI voices. You can even clone someone's voice or your own voice. It is so easy to do that. But it's also very scary because now you have bots who can just talk. Sorry, there is some amount of intelligence in voice bots which are able to make a call and have a conversation. That is already happening. A lot of people who used to run BPO call centers have started laying off people to install these kind of systems inside. And a lot of it comes from softwares like this, which are able to get the right kind of accent. So of course it's an Indian accent for Indian outbound call centers and a US or whatever westernized accent for other countries. I'll quickly jump back to our rest of the presentation. I wanted to be as comprehensive, so we'll be jumping around, trying to cover as much as possible. Are we good? Yeah. I'm going to talk about some of the big notable AI experiments. I'm going to play the Manorama Audio Project. And the Manorama Audio Project is very fascinating because they use text to speech for all their stories, and they release it 3 times a day, 9 a.m., 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And people actually queue in to listen to that audio stream rather than reading. They want to hear something in their own local language. Let me see if I can play it for you. Here it is. This is the website project I was talking about. This is last updated 13 June, 3 p.m. And
ഷീല സണ്ണിയെ ലഹരിക്കേസിൽ കുടുക്കി പ്രതി ലിവിയ കസ്റ്റഡിയിൽ.
That's it. I'm just trying to demonstrate. This is a text-to-speech software. On the bottom, you can read. Note that you're listening to an auto-generated audio news feed using a third-party TTS, which stands for text-to-speech. Pronunciation errors expected. So this is automated. Again, it doesn't add anything much. These softwares, text-to-speech softwares, are now available in open source, as in there are free models available. The most popular is called Whisper. If you ever have time and if you would like to test it out, please do. It's so small you can even try it on your mobile phone. You can locally host it on your mobile phone. So all your data is private again. It's not going anywhere. Text and audio are usually very low in terms of data bandwidth, data speed. It's the video which is the real culprit, which cannot be done on the mobile and even on the laptop. Okay, I'm going to come to Times of India in just a bit, but now I want to talk about analytics and thinking about what's working in the market and what's not working. Many times we want to probably get a sense of, before we start making content, what kind of news stories are working, what's the mood of the public. And this is where these free websites again, this one is okay. This one is called View Stats. View Stats comes in. View Stats is very powerful. It can give you a lot of data for free. If you take a pro version, of course, you get more information. All that you have to do is put in, the name of the YouTube channel over here. In interest of time, just before we started the session, we put in India TV just randomly, and we've taken screenshots out. Now, the point that I'm trying to say is that a lot of these data points can be very confusing, and if you're not from the data background, whatever if you don't like numbers, you don't want to look at these numbers, whatever they mean. If you're a content person, you just want to go out there and create more news content. So we tried asking an LLM. This time we used Perplexity to analyze the screenshots and tell us what it makes of it. Just give me a second, I'll put in a prompt. My prompt was slightly incorrect. It assumed that the channel belongs to me, but anyways, it's going to build us a plan based on what kind of content works. It's also giving us hooks, and thumbnail ideas as well. And the good thing and the very surprising thing about DeepSeek is that it has so much more ability for Indian languages. In fact, if anyone over here just wants to, while this activity happens, do you want to try out some activity with DeepSeek, like in an Indian language? Anyone's got a prompt? Like, would you like to write a poem about like the Mumbai rains and like in a local poet, like a DeepSeek? Like other day I tried doing it in Ghalib style. I did it in that. Then I tried Javed Akhtar. Then I tried some other Marathi poets as well. It even knew about those poets. It's surprising how much coverage this Chinese application has. And it writes Jai Hind in the end. It has a stomach to say that. I swear, as if it can hear me. Any ideas? Just, I'm just trying to tell you how valuable this can be for everyone running Instagram handles and wants to get traffic. There's a lot that one can do in regional languages over here. I'll jump back, but the big idea over here is the big point is that it is able to tell you what is working for a certain channel that you can replicate very easily. It's like it's giving clickbaity lines like PM Modi ka bada bayan, so, everyone wants to see what he's got to say, or maybe kal ki sabse badi khabar kaun si thi, even though it's past tense. I still think it's a very clickbaity line. Apart from that, they've got ways of increasing engagement. आप comment करें, ज़रूर देखें, and of course, it also is suggesting that one should do some in-depth videos every week to talk about tax policy. So there's a mix of mature content as well as clickbaity content. It literally acts like a content strategist. What I'm trying to say, it helps a lot. If you look at this particular graph, you'll never be able to make sense of all these things, and probably it will even take a long time. But and obviously we haven't computed all that data. All that we did was take 7 days, 28 days, and we tried to get some basic analytics. The more data we feed it, the sharper the analysis will be, the more useful it can be for creating a very viral channel. So yeah, I'm going to jump to something new. Yeah, I'm going to not talk about deepfakes. It's a big problem in our country, in the world right now. This is a very interesting case that just happened few days back, and because this involves a very high profile journalist, so I'm referring to it. And a Dainik Bhaskar journalist assumed, his name is Mukesh Kaushik, assumed that Ravish Kumar had written about Shivani Singh, whether there was a Pakistani claim, and Ravish had asked the government about that fake news claim. While it was a deep fake video of Ravish doing that, and ever since then, I think this is not too old. This is June 9th. It's it's just this month. There has been a lot of chatter about deep fakes playing a big role in and creating confusion in our everyday conversations. Just that what this shows, it only takes one person to create chaos. It was just one journalist who believed that deepfake video, Mr. Mukesh Kaushik, and then of course everyone had to come out and clarify. I will play a couple of other videos and then have a longer conversation on it.
months ago, a group of young entrepreneurs pitched me an idea, an AI popper trading assistant called InvestGPT. I'll admit I was skeptical, but within weeks of trying it, I was impressed. This tool doesn't just analyze data, it predicts market moves with insane precision. I've used dozens of platforms in my life, but nothing comes close. InvestGPT is fast, intuitive, and razor sharp. It's like having a top-tier analyst working for me 24/7. My returns? Let's just say they speak for themselves. Join now and experience the future of trading with InvestGPT.
I'll just ask the audience, what's your feedback after looking at this video? Yeah. Is she also having an attack? Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's
Sorry.
drug, but it sounds like she's reading. This isn't her choice of words. It sounds like she's reading some press release
Okay.
for InvestGPT. So they fed her the wrong words.
Yeah. Some other. Yeah.
She doesn't have the brains for this, but it sounds good.
Okay. Though it might seem ironical that the finance minister is selling a product, but to many it was the biggest, credibility stamp. The same company also did a video with Asauddin Owaisi. They also got Sundar Pichai for it, and all these videos are floating around till Sundar Pichai's video actually got viral, and then then Google came down heavily and it just went off YouTube. But the bigger point over here is that technology has progressed to an extent where it's able to do lip sync as well. It's not just a robotic avatar which is coming and reading news. This is someone like. This same technology is now also used by all those scammers to do video calls, and then I'm sorry, I'm blushing, but to impersonate as judges, as family members, as police officers, and extort money. Just last week there was a case in Noida, and while I'm pretty surprised that some of these technologies are not even available to mainstream, like even mainstream media is not using them, but scammers are already doing it. And on the other hand, the cost of this is almost next to nothing. What AI does is that it is basically it's recording the lip movement and saving it, storing it, and then using this exact same facial expressions to make sure that it sounds like it's in sync. Now, when we are able to push technology to that level, I don't know how is it ever going to come back. So that's why I asked people, are you still convinced that AI is still not ready, or should we wait for a couple of years, or maybe it's here, it's arrived? But the other larger point that I want to make about is enforcement. Now, there are tons of cases where celebrities like Narayan Murthy's video has been going around forever, trying to sell stock market bonds, etc. and whatnot. In fact, Narayan Murthy's avatar says some pretty ridiculous things like, I would not buy Infosys stock, I would sell my Infosys stock to buy this stock. But at the same time, what can we do to protect ourselves from this? And it's not very easy. So I'm just going to spend some time talking about that. So there are a few apps which have come around which one can use to check, but they're not as effective. There are larger solutions that are used by newsrooms, which was used by Alt News and Boom very recently during the Operation Sindoor, when there was a barrage of fake news launched by the Pakistani side. The first technique is extracting keyframes. I'm sorry, this is going to be a little technical, but I would like you to know about this because we are dealing with some pretty cutting edge technology. But keyframes means that it's going to take some select frames and then run a Google reverse image search, as in look for the same image if it's somewhere on Google. This is a sort of a time consuming process, but it's more sure shot. The second one is detecting voice cloned media. Sometimes AI is able to detect other AI sounds, but sometimes it fails. Third is face swaps. Now, face swaps have become so easy. There are face swap apps all over the place. People use it on Instagram. It's so convenient. Now, what started off as a joke, like literally like a Snapchat filter, is now responsible for like hundreds of crores being duped from innocent people. Next is synthetic audio. Synthetic audio is again it's background sound which can be picked up, and last is, if you look at some of these AI videos, I'm going to show you one more just for the sake of explanation, where I would want you to look at that video very carefully. I mean, of course, we all know it's fake, and I think that's why there's nothing to, I mean, if you want, we'll even go back and see the Nirmala Sitharaman video again to see if you can pick up the blurring and fading on the face.
आज मैं वेश भर से क्षमा मांगने आया हूँ। हमने विचार किया था कि पाकिस्तान को 4 हिस्सों में बांट देंगे। हमने सोचा था कि पाकिस्तान को बिखेर देंगे, लेकिन आज हालात बिल्कुल उलट हो गए हैं। पाकिस्तान ने हमें ऐसा करारा जवाब दिया है कि हमारी अपनी ज़मीन पर बगावत के बीज बो दिए हैं।
This is a very poor deepfake compared to the Nirmala Sitharaman one, but nevertheless, for explanation purposes, I'm trying to say, if you can find some visible things, assuming that it wasn't our foreign minister, someone else, would you be able to pick it up? I'll play Nirmala ji's clip one last time, because I just find it so perfect in many ways. And of course, there are shortcomings, but
A few months ago, a group of young entrepreneurs pitched me an idea, an AI popper trading assistant called Invest GPT. I'll admit I was skeptical, but within weeks of trying it, I was impressed. This tool doesn't just analyze data, it predicts market moves with insane precision. I've used dozens of platforms in my life, but nothing comes close. Invest GPT is fast, intuitive, and razor sharp. It's like having a top-tier analyst working for me 24/7. My returns? Let's just say they speak for themselves. Join now and experience the future of trading with InvestGPT.
In this particular video, I deliberately played it again. I couldn't spot any blurring or fading in the face. I don't know if you saw something, but in terms of her voice as well, it's very similar. I've heard her in person as well. I had the privilege of being there, but it sounds exactly like her. I think the only way it could be discovered, or it could be tracked, is by extracting keyframes in the reverse image search. What I'm trying to say is that our counter tracking technology is also catching up, and we aren't there yet, unfortunately. Let's talk about the legal implication of using AI tools. A lot of journalists are worried about using these LLMs and using these editing tools to create media, and then perhaps facing some legal consequences. But at this moment in time, the Indian courts do not recognize any AI system, be it ChatGPT or InVideo, any LLM, as a person. So what it means is that you're using a machine, and any kind of misinformation or defamatory news that comes out of it, the journalist is solely responsible for it, and it can't be shared or can't be passed on by saying that it was because of ChatGPT. Likewise, there also about copyright. Now, as long as the journalist can prove that they've used this LLM for enhancing their copy and not for stealing content, there is no legal consequence of it. But like I said earlier, these ChatGPT in particular, these LLMs by themselves are based on a very opaque model, and are perhaps stealing data from a lot of our own journalists sitting around in Mumbai and Delhi. Because that's where the data and the information comes from. That's where the news comes from. So at this moment in time, we can pretty safely use these systems, and of course keeping the usual laws of defamation and copyright in mind. I want to very quickly talk about a new technology. The last part of my presentation is about something called bots, which you must have heard in the past. Bots are called robots. They would do small things. For instance, scraping data from the Election Commission's website and posting it online. That's what a bot would do. But now there's a new technology that you may have all heard about. It's called agents. And I think that's the next big thing which is going to take AI to the next level. Now, agents, the word agent as such, what I believe, comes from the Matrix series, which had Keanu Reeves in it. And the idea of having an agent is that the agent never gives up. You know, an agent in my Indian terms would be is the ultimate jugadu. If the bot cannot do what it's meant to do, the agent gets it done any which way. As in, if you want to go from Bombay to, let's take Haridwar, and you know, if you tell a bot, look out for the most economical way for me to get, and you know, wherever if it can't find tickets, the bot would just shut down. It would say, I tried to look for the most economical, but leave alone economy, I just can't find any tickets. And the bot would end its task. But an agent would try to figure out 10 different ways of person traveling from point A to point B. What I'm trying to say is that agents can replace humans far more easily than any other technology in the past has done. And there again, where do agents get their brains from? Where are they getting this never say die attitude from? They're going to be fed in from behind with the same LLMs. It may not be ChatGPT or DeepSeek. It may be something very customized to the industry. For instance, in the ad agency, there would be a custom LLM made for the ad industry. For the art and culture industry, there will be custom LLMs made for that. Creating custom LLMs is also not a very expensive thing right now. Like I said, these LLMs are shrinking in size, so you can host them on your own laptop. All that it takes is a bunch of engineers who can write code. And the other good thing is that AI also will figure out writing at least half of the code. It's called vibe coding. So AI, you can just tell AI that I want to create a custom LLM, create it for me, and it will probably do some of the work for you. It's still not at a point where you can do end-to-end solutions, but it saves you a lot of money in getting things done. I deliberately chose this image because this is from Chacha Chaudhary, of course, our childhood comic superstar. Now, the idea is that the journalist is always going to be in front. And while I want you to think that AI or whatever LLM is always going to be behind you, the strong, burly character who is going to be able to do all the heavy lifting and perhaps get you out of trouble and get others some help as well whenever required. So with that, if I think we're on time, should we open it up for questions?
Hi, thank you so much. It was a very lot of learnings here. I just had a question for you. I regularly use Perplexity because I want to know where it comes from. So like one thing which always was in my mind, how does Perplexity choose the articles? And whether, I mean, this may sound like a dumb question, how does it know that it's genuine? I mean, that again is a very, there are some, data is either factual or a perspective, which is very individual. If I'm asking a factual question, like what's the distance between Bombay and Delhi, it's a factual answer. But if it's a perspective-oriented thing, means, you know what I'm trying to say. How does it pick it up? On what basis? So one, how does it pick up the data? How does it determine the genuineness of the data? And third, if it's a perspective-oriented question, how does it process it?
I'll start with the last question on perspective. That's a very interesting one. Now, you can all try this at home because they're all on your mobile phone and they're all free of cost. So you can feed in the same perspective-driven question to 4 or 5 different LLMs like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Perplexity, Claude, and you will invariably get different answers. Sometimes you will get the same answer, but that is all because, like, you can just ask something about a war somewhere in the world, for instance. Those are the most common ways of testing the bias. Where does it get its bias from? It's training data. Now, where does Perplexity get? I think there are different ways for both ChatGPT and Perplexity crawling their data out. And they are based on fundamentally different ways. Hence, when you use, of course, Gemini is the most powerful because it's backed by Google. So all of Google's servers is helping it get its data. In fact, if you use Gemini for doing project reports. I can in fact demonstrate it for you right now. It takes sometimes an hour or 2 hours. I would love to show it to you right now. We just put it on a process and we leave it. We won't be able to see the output. But I'm just trying to see how wide it can spread its crawlers around, like give it the most complicated thing, like Gothic architecture around the world, like build me an encyclopedia. It will take 6 hours, it will dig everything out there, and it will build you that encyclopedia with images, with text, with references, everything. It will build you 1,000-word, 2,000-word book. Now, that's because it has the best database. Grok can't do that. Grok only has Twitter data, which all of us dislike, because it's just, it's heckling. But on the other hand, ChatGPT now also has a deep research mode. So I think what's really fun is exploring the deep research angle in all of these, LLMs. They allow us to explore different answers. But to come to your perspective question, I personally feel that these apps and these technologies were not meant to give perspective answers. They were just starting off as scientific tools, and they have found a lot of use in business and everyday life. Like maybe it can go book a ticket for me if I want. It can probably, help me decide where I need to stay if I'm on vacation. It can perhaps even help me decide which university or which job I should be taking. But that's just purely because of it just picks up things that I would not be able to pick up. Like if I'm new to a city, or if I'm, if I'm looking to change my job, I may not know what happens in another company, but these tools can be very, very powerful. And even for like building business leads, like I know people who have now started agencies that use ChatGPT and Perplexity to get outbound leads, and they're using all kinds of other technologies to build leads. It's just because there's so much data in them. But that doesn't mean that there's reasoning. So Apple believes that that reasoning will not come for the next 4 years. And I think even you should wait till then. Until there's rational reasoning, these systems are just predicting. They're predicting the next word, the next line, the next paragraph at best. So to put it in very simple words, it will never be able to build perspective by that very myopic outlook. I hope I've answered your question. Where's the mic? You got the mic, go ahead.
Is there something in AI that involves sign language, which can convert sign language to voice or text, or the other way, which can be used for education or interpretation for the hearing impaired people?
Yes. For education, I'm not sure if it will be able to generate outwards, but if you take a video and you feed it in, or if you take an image, it can always understand sign language. Any more questions? Ma'am.
AI interpret if you use any images using Snapseed or Canva, etc. images?
So you're trying to say it should tell you that this is superimposed?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's not, the LLMs can't do it, but the other softwares, there's a software called Hive that, I was just speaking about this, these tools that are used for puncturing deepfakes. So Hive is one of them that does it very well. Asad sir.
Tell us a little bit about the role of AI and these in your election campaigns. What you were doing, if you can talk about it, because I thought it was most fascinating.
So there are a couple of ways that AI is used in elections. One is that during elections, one has to just throw out a barrage of content. There are different kinds of positive and negative campaigns that one is running. So the first thing is that if I give one line of narrative, how can we make 5 different content pieces within 5 minutes? Now, if you were to hire a creative agency, they would take a couple of hours. But like you can see, just, if we give it like one narrative line, it's able to create something within seconds. So if there is, I tell OpenAI, like, let's take, for instance, I am, Kamala Harris, and I'm trying to say, let's create a negative campaign for Donald Trump and a positive campaign for myself, because I am black and I want the blacks to vote for me, and I would want some of the white voters to also vote for me. So I would say something on a gender line against Donald Trump, that is anti-abortion, and that's precisely what she did. And both sides use AI this time. And I feel that there's also the same line of principles where you allow AI to go and say anything that it wishes to, or you try to stay within the boundaries of truth. So one is speed. It's just got raw speed. Second is also quality. I don't think the quality is really bad. You can't get top-notch quality from AI at this moment. Like, you won't get an ad that will make you cry, or you can't get something that you want to watch again and again on loop. It's very rare that something comes out. But I would still say that it gets the point across. Second thing is that in elections, of course, there's a lot of data mining that is happening. We haven't quite spoken about that, and AI can be very useful in terms of analyzing votes moving around, like voting patterns. So the Election Commission of India gives out voter data. You can feed it all into AI and say, give me a voter strategy. Where are voters going to come in this time and why? And it will try to correlate why have voter bases shifted. Like, Maharashtra case in point. What a fascinating story from a cephalogist perspective. And then, so one is communications. Second is cephalogy. Third, I would say that even like when it comes to like political decisions and strategy, like I would like often try to compare decisions made by Indian politicians with other politicians across the world, like history, because AI has access to so much of data. So if a politician takes a very, difficult to understand decision, so why is that politician doing so? And if I like, just like day before yesterday or whatever, last week, what transpired between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Why are they both fighting, and where is this going with it? So one is trying to understand, going back in American history or whatever world political history, to make sense of these things. Again, there is sometimes there is no. I mean, of course, Donald Trump is impossible to understand, but for other politicians, maybe in India, like there is. There's always this this question mark, and on Mr. Nitish Kumar. So this question is like, can he become Prime Minister of India someday if he wants to? So how does he become Prime Minister? So you can ask AI that question. So I think strategy also, it can come from AI. It's not that useless as people make it out to be. It's just because it, like I said, doesn't have absolute reasoning power. But in politics, for fake news busting, like I mentioned first up, for communications, for mass communications, customized communications, it makes beautiful user models, community models. It's able to understand why communities vote the way they do. And because it community behavioral models, so like mass behavioral models. So if people in Worli are just giving case in point, like people in Worli voted for Mr. Aditya Thackeray, so why did they vote for him? So I would not know why they voted for him, but if you looked at newspapers and if you look at events, and there's so many other things, AI will tell us that Mr. Aditya Thackeray has been really popular in his area. Or just take any politician, like in my area, Ashish Shelar, he's been winning for so many years. I've never understood why he just keeps winning. He's my MLA, but he's a very dear friend of mine. But I got to say that that AI is able to tell us things because it has access to that kind of data which most politicians also do not have access to at this moment in time. And I'm saying this only from a numerical perspective. It, of course, I hope that a lot of the things that we're talking, of course, they go inside our phones and they're used by all these branding companies. But if at some stage all of this data comes together and it starts talking to each other, then I'm sure politicians will be able to exploit it to the hilt. Like, they would be able to customize campaigns like nothing else. They'll be able to sell us anything they want, essentially. They can take us to any end of the spectrum. Any more questions?
Hi, my question's about the video that you generated on InVideo, right?
That's right.
So, are the rights managed? Because this one was sourced. The videos that they used were sourced from like Getty. So then, can I use this on my YouTube? And is this like not going to get into some sort of copyright infringement?
If
like, who owns the video?
They have the rights for the images. If you are making money from it, then you can't do it. You'll have to pay them a royalty for it. You'll have to buy the rights from them rather than paying a royalty. From Getty Images, the company, or wherever, the name of the company is watermarked on it. The other way around is just use Grok or any other package to create your own images, put it inside the InVideo repository and ask it to create a video.
So when you're using your own images or your own video, so if I have a bank of, say, like videos that I have shot myself and I'm using that, will that, because I'm uploading it on the app, will that then make
I mean, will my video be accessible to others as well? Does it go into a library? I mean, can they use it?
No, it's your video. It's only on your personal account, and when you delete your account from the website, they cannot keep your data. Same with HeyGen, as long as you're putting your facial data, but the moment you're deleting your account, they will have to delete your data as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Now that every news publication is available on every digital platform, and traditionally practicing a chase for exclusive stories, and if not that, there's always clickbaits. So my question is, do you think there'll be a time soon where every publication will have a AI-driven fact checker, or if not that, then AI exclusivity checker on their digital platforms for better credibility? And if so, then what do you think would be their primary challenges?
You mean a fact checker?
Yeah, fact checker or an exclusivity uniqueness checker on their platforms.
Yeah, building those kind of uniqueness checkers should not be difficult at all, because you're just looking at open content in different places and seeing if you have mutually exclusive, audiovisual material on your site. But if you're looking to build fact checkers, I think that's still very tricky, and most news organizations make mistakes. I think we've seen that in the past couple of months. Some of them were not intentional, they just fell for it. People just fell for it. They thought certain video game clips were real, They thought certain, movie clips were real, and they just ran them. And like a lot of Twitter people who were very well educated also thought they were real. Like this went with senior editors. What I mean by Twitter people, like very big Twitter influencers who were running English movie clips as war clips, So I think the fact-checking question is going to be around for a couple of years. This reminds me of the dot-com era, where there was a lot of security prones and there were like people getting hacked. I remember I used to be a kernel hacker. I was about 16, 17 years age when that boom happened, and something called Linux. There was something called kernel hacking, and Linux has its own kernel. So if we were able to get inside that kernel, it was like, like you got inside heaven. It's the same thing now. It's like, cracking that system is not too difficult. If you know how it works, you can just build it. You can just create a deep fake very easily. But to build a counter to it, like to build a firewall or to build other kinds of counter system, that will take years. In fact, cybersecurity is still, in demand, because most of our systems aren't secure. And now most of the wars that are being fought are being fought in the cyberspace exactly for the same reasons. And, I was watching this video that AI is one of the many components. AI is one of the many components that needs to be secured, because it's a layer on top of your entire data repository. AI needs data to survive. It's like, it's like the oil. Without data, it's of no use. And if there's any organization, let's take for instance our own organization, like the DRDO, the NTPC, they all have a lot of data, and there's AI operating on top of it. So obviously security is a huge issue over there. I'm going to show you a video. I see people leaving because of the rain. This is a video that India Today produced just yesterday, and it's not a fake video, but they just decided to present their news in a certain way.
पत्नी और बेटी से मिलने लंदन जा रहे थे पूर्व सीएम विजय रूपाणी। प्लेन क्रैश हादसे की खबर मिलते ही रूपाणी के घर के पास सन्नाटा छा गया। पड़ोसियों ने नजदीकी मंदिर में पूजा पाठ शुरू कर दिया और उनकी सलामती के लिए प्रार्थना करने लगे। फिलहाल रूपाणी परिवार की ओर से कोई आधिकारिक बयान नहीं आया है। अहमदाबाद पुलिस कमिश्नर जीएस मलिक के अनुसार अब तक 204 शव बरामद किए जा चुके हैं और 41 लोग घायल हैं। शवों की पहचान के लिए बीजे मेडिकल कॉलेज में डीएनए टेस्टिंग की जा रही है। प्रत्यक्षदर्शियों के मुताबिक टेक ऑफ के तुरंत बाद विमान ने ऊंचाई खोदी और पहले बीजे मेडिकल कॉलेज की बिल्डिंग से टकराया, फिर पास के हॉस्टल को चपेट में लिया। सेना, नगर निगम और मेडिकल टीमें लगातार राहत और बचाव कार्य में जुटी हैं।
I'm just trying to say this one also looks pretty real, but I can figure out this is made in Kling. Kling is a new tool, and you can figure out this is probably because it has the same kind of color scheme. But Aaj Tak decided to mix both real-time footage as well as AI footage to talk about a true story. So I think that's if that's the way things are going to go, then even the AI filter, the software will fail, because this is not fake news, but it's using AI generated imagery. So it adds another layer of complication to it. So I guess on that complicated note, I think we should end. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep, for this very insightful session. I think we need a 2.0 version, a little longer version of this. I mean, I was just thinking, because it was is journalism. I said, what's the future of a newsroom? What's a newsroom going to look like? Previously you'd have legal. Now you'd have to have these AI interventions to actually check how news is going to be produced before it's going to be disseminated. But thank you to our partners, the Mumbai Press Club, Mr. Rajesh Mascarenhas and his team, for welcoming us here in this wonderful, iconic place. And thank you to the audience for braving this rain. I guess if it was raining this hard, you all may not have showed up, but hopefully get home safely and be dry. We have many more interesting programs coming up at Avid. In fact, the reason I asked him to do the Gothic topic is we're doing a talk on the 17th of June at the NGMA. It's called Motifs, Materials and Makers of Indo-Gothic Architecture. And in case you'll want to create some new news and authentic news in the form of podcasts, we're having a podcasting workshop on the 21st of June in collaboration with Spotify. For more information on these topics, just stalk us on social media or visit our website. Thank you all for being here once again, and have a wonderful weekend. See you.